Monkey D. Luffy is the protagonist of One Piece and one of the strongest characters in the series. He aims to conquer the Grand Line and find the One Piece, and in doing so, become the king of the pirates. Luffy is a compelling character with much potential, as he is the protagonist of the story, with almost every protagonist of a shonen anime. There's no doubt the protagonist has many forms accessible to them over the course of the anime and manga. Over the years, Luffy has gained access to several forms to combat his opponents at different times and overcome them with all his might, some which have allowed him to compete with dangerous villains that other crew members can't fight. Here are all of Luffy's transformations. But before we continue this video, please smash that like button. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe and click notification bell, or you will miss future anime videos. Luffy as a child. Luffy normal form. Water Luffy. In the fight with Crocodile, the leader of Baroque Works, Luffy used a barrel filled with water in order to weaken Crocodile and make him vulnerable by disabling his ability to transform into sand. With this, Luffy could coat his appendages with water and use water-supported attacks against Crocodile, along with a plan to soak Crocodile completely with water. However, upon realizing the barrel and its contents were in too much danger from Crocodile's attacks, Luffy drank the entire barrel of water, becoming Water Luffy. Though at first glance the form looks idiotic and somewhat flawed, as he had trouble keeping the water down, to the point of causing even the enemy Nico Robin to burst out laughing. It allowed Luffy to safely store the water and spit it out at Crocodile for use. Luffy Ultra Instinct, a technique in which Luffy switches off his conscious mind, allowing him to avoid attacks entirely on instinct. This made him immune to Enel's mind read and mantra ability. The disadvantage is that he can neither think nor attack in this state. This was first used against Enel. Afro Luffy. Foxy reclaims Chopper as his prize for the second round of the Davy Back fight. Nami negotiates with Foxy to allow Luffy to reclaim both Chopper and Robin should he win the final round. Foxy raises the number of crewmates claimed by the winner to 500. The location of the fight is set to Foxy's ship, the Sexy Foxy. Luffy enters Foxy's closet to select an outfit for the fight. Luffy decides to enter the Sexy Foxy in an afro. While in his Afro Luffy form, Luffy launches an elongated hook, which can hit the enemy's back due to his stretching ability. This was first used against Foxy. Luffy Mikado Robo. Luffy wraps his arms and legs around a person's limbs in order to manipulate their movements. This was first used against a Marine in Enies lobby. Luffy Gear Second before timeskip. Prior to the timeskip, Luffy would initiate this technique by using his leg as a pump to increase the blood flow in all of his body parts. As a result, all of his body parts become stronger and faster. The technique used more oxygen and energy, using more food, and caused him to pant heavily during use. He has been able to heavily damage some of the strongest individuals in the series while this technique was active. Luffy Gear Third before timeskip. Before the timeskip, while in Gear Third, it proved quite difficult for Luffy to move while part of his anatomy has been converted to gigantic proportions, making the gear inadvisable to use against opponents capable of moving at high speeds. Like Lucci, the deactivation of Gear Third brings about shrinking, which is a negative side effect for Luffy due to the massive expansion undergone prior to release. The amount of time Luffy spends in his shrunken form is roughly equivalent to the amount of time spent in Gear Third mode. Nightmare Luffy. During the Thriller Bark arc, Luffy was fed around 100 shadows by those wandering the Thriller Bark to fight Ors and Moria. Once he consumed these shadows, Luffy grew tremendously in size, and his skin turned blue. Although the power-up was temporary, it made him strong enough to stand up to Nightmare Luffy alone, and beat him up with relative ease. Nightmare Luffy has never been used again after that arc. Giant Luffy Bomber. Giant Luffy Bomber was the secret weapon and most powerful creation of Dr. Usadabata. He is a 50 meters high self-aware robot who, when piloted by the evil Dr. Usadabata, becomes a powerful and evil opponent. But despite being built for evil, he prefers to do things his own way and is also quite friendly. Luffy champion. During the breakout of Impel Down, the powers of the Doru Doru no Mi have been used purposely with Luffy when Mr. 3 allied with him. One of the most prominent is a set of gloves and boots resembling those of Mr. 3's Candle Champion to combat against the Warden of Impel Down, Magellan, and his Doku Doku no Mi powers. These armor parts were melted by Mr. 3's Doru Doru Kaijo when the pieces were infected with Magellan's Kinjite poison, to prevent Luffy from being infected as well. Luffy normal form after time skip. Luffy gear second after time skip. After the time skip, it appears that Luffy has refined his control over this technique, as he has now been shown capable of activating it by swiftly pumping blood from any of his limbs without having to assume his original stance. With this new mastery over gear second, combined with armament haki, he can now easily destroy a pacifista. Furthermore, using a combination of haki and gear second, Luffy is able to punch opponents with such speed and force that it causes his fist to ignite, bearing a similar effect to his brother's signature attack. Luffy gear third after time skip. After the time skip, as with gear second, Luffy seems to have obtained better skill at utilizing gear third. Previously, gear third would increase the size of the majority of Luffy's arm, thus reducing the speed of the attack in exchange for a powerful impact. However, Luffy after 2 years can seemingly control where the air is stored within his limbs, where his fist becomes large, and instead of the air being equally distributed throughout his arm, an equivalently large mass forms behind the fist. Giant Luffy. Shuzo orders his men to be launched at the island like torpedoes and sacrifice themselves for him. He then attacks Pan's Fry and Lily. Luffy faces off against Shuzo, but starts to be overpowered by Shuzo and HYPEKAGE. Lily goes inside Luffy and turns into a giant using her ability. Luffy defeats Shuzo and his pet alpaca, and the group gets to eat the heavenly food from Pan's Fry before setting off for another adventure in the New World. Luffy gear 4th Bounce Man. Bounce Man is Luffy's go-to form in gear 4th at the moment, and it seems to be the best of them all in terms of raw strength. Bounceman makes the best use of the muscle balloon technique and uses maximum armament haki to make Luffy armored, yet give him insane rubbery properties. Bounceman also has some of the strongest techniques Luffy can use, such as the King Organ or even the King Kong gun. While it isn't as fast as Snakeman, it makes up for it by offering a higher level of durability and also heavy-hitting blows. Luffy gear 4th Tank Man. Gear 4th is Luffy's strongest known gear at the moment, and it works on a principle similar to gear 3rd, with the only difference being that Luffy inflates his muscles instead of his bones and uses armament haki. One of the many forms of gear 4th is the Tankman, in which Luffy inflates his body so much that he looks like a stuffed tank. The full version of this power was used against Charlotte Cracker, and it proved to be strong enough to one-shot him. However, this form's biggest weakness is Luffy's lack of mobility due to his massive size. Luffy gear 4th Snake Man. Snake Man is one of the most powerful forms of Luffy, and it was first used against Charlotte Katakuri of the Big Mom Pirates. This form of gear 4th sees Luffy use his armament haki on his arms and his legs, for the most part, to keep his body as lean as possible to boost the speed further, as that is his main focus. To fight the likes of Katakuri, Luffy needed to get faster, and according to him, Snakeman was fast enough to overcome Katakuri's observation haki. This form is incredibly fast, but in doing so, it loses out on the defensive edge that Bounce Man or Tank Man offers.
どうする？
ゴムゴムのピストル